So what is fifth pillar? As you all know, there are four pillars in our democracy: legislative, executive, judiciary, and the press. Sometimes, or rather, in most instances, all of these four pillars, or some of these four pillars, don't function in the way that they're supposed to. That's when fifth pillar comes to play. Fifth pillar is we, all the citizens of the nation, who want to make sure and ensure that all these four pillars work in the right manner and in the most efficient way so that our democracy runs successfully. So fifth pillar strives to enable, encourage, and empower every citizen of India to eliminate corruption at all levels of the society.
Until last year, Fifth Pillar as an organization was not able to take off at the level it was anticipated by the founders, for the simple reason that people were afraid of fighting corruption. In a country like India, there is a lot of nepotism, political arm twisting, and intimidation when people stand up to ask for their rights. And Fifth Pillar was started with the goal to provide a platform for people to represent their problems, represent their situations, and fight for their rights. And as I mentioned earlier, for the first 8 to 9 years, there was not too many people joining Fifth Pillar because of the fear that was prevailing in the people's mind. And what was the fear? When they walk into an office, let us say, for example, somebody has applied for an electricity connection for their house. And the Indian Electricity Act of 1930 states that every citizen is entitled to get an electricity connection in 24 hours of time. It was 30 days earlier, and recently it has been amended to provide electricity connection for every citizen that applies for it in 24 hours time. Though the act is in place, when someone walks into an electricity office and applies for a connection, typically it takes a few months if you don't bribe them. Whereas, if you are willing to bribe them, it can happen in 24 hours or even like in 2 hours. So that is the state of affairs. I am not going to go into detailed examples of several offices, but this is almost like in 90% of the offices this is the case, regardless of department or regardless of state or city in India. So, the fear in people's mind is, if they stand up to their right and say, I'm not going to bribe you, but I'm still wanting you to give me the electricity connection, what happens is, they either put their file in the back burner, ignore their application, and pretend that the application did not even reach their office. These are things that you're all well aware of. So how does Fifth Pillar remove that fear from people's minds? This was the biggest challenge for Fifth Pillar for the first 8 to 9 years. And then came the Right to Information Act in 2005. The RTI Act, as it is shortly called, it was implemented by the Government of India in the year 2005 to empower the citizen and give the citizen the right to ask questions, demand answers about the functioning of every government department in India.
As Vijay mentioned, in August 2007, we conducted our Freedom from Corruption campaign. It was a 40-day campaign where we visited over 34 districts of India. We addressed around 105 schools and colleges, and we addressed around 200,000 students. And the students, after the speech, would pledge by signing the Zero Rupee banner. They would pledge saying, I will not receive or pay bribe. Owing to our success with the Zero Rupee note in our country, inspired by this tool, we received calls and requests from several other countries, including France, Italy, Benin in Africa, and Mexico and Argentina, asking if they can replicate our Zero Rupee note concept because they want to fight corruption in their country as well, using this as a tool. And so we came up with this idea of creating downloadable zero currency images of respective countries based on their currencies, And you can go and visit the website www.zerocurrency.org. It should have the currencies for almost all the countries, 180 countries, including the corruption and CPI, that's the Corruption Perception Index rankings for each of the countries as given by Transparency.
If you read that note, eliminate corruption at all levels. It speaks to a fundamental premise that government should work. It's not particularly complicated. Government should work. We put you there. We asked you to do a job, and we expect you to do the job. We shouldn't have to pay you extra. We shouldn't have to do you special favors. You should consider it an honor to work for us, the people, and do that job.
Alright, so what's your name?
My name is Prabhu Palisamy.
Okay, and how long have you been affiliated with this pillar?
Plus year now.
And when was the last time you were in India?
About 3 months ago.
Oh, recently. So, in that past time, have you ever been a victim of bribery or corruption?
I mean, if you've been in India and grew up and had your studies, and there are occasions you will be like either bribed or had to bribe. Or
Would you like to share anything about that? An experience?
Experience in the sense like it's there in every walk of life. I mean, as just mentioned in a couple of stories, whether you go and apply for an electricity card or ration card, or even say like applying for a basic driving license, you may never know whether you are driving or not.
Mm-hmm. And what would you suggest to help fight this?
First of all, if you go to the grassroots of these stuff, youngsters like you who are educated has to have a firm understanding that corruption is something which needs to be eradicated, not to be grown around. So youngsters and people who grow from it has to be from the education, from the school, from the roots. That's what it's about. Hi, thank you. Good job.
So what's your name?
Lata Kannan.
And when was the last time you've been in India?
Last year, last summer.
So in that last time, have you ever been a victim of bribery or corruption?
Not last time. In the previous during the previous visits, what happened was I didn't give bribe, but I was in the car when there was a traffic signal and we were making the traffic signal wasn't working, and we made a left there because it was working, and the constables just stopped us and they said you disobeyed the law, so you have to pay. And he said, no, we don't want to, because this thing wasn't working. So he was saying it starts with about 500 rupees or something. And he said, no. He says 400 rupees. He said, no. He says 300 rupees. Then, just give me 100 rupees. We said, no, wait. And we left. And then afterwards I was told that whenever you do something like this, you would get, a fine sent to your home for about 1,000 rupees or something like that. 1,000 rupees or something like that. Which you end up paying a lot more. And a lot of times people, because they don't want to pay 1,000 rupees, they would rather just give the 100 rupees or something which just goes straight to the police's pocket to get out of it. I just witnessed it and I was really affected by it.
So what do you think is the best way to fight corruption?
You have to stand up. You have to stand up.
Do you think it has a lot to do with the young generation?
I would think so, because the thing is, 100 people, out of 100 people, if 90 people are saying, just go with it, and you can't really fight it, then 10 people, it's very hard for 10 to survive. So if everybody joins up, it can be broken. I don't know if it's an easy process. It's going to be a long road, but it can happen.